Hi everyone, today I'm doing a much anticipated video about Finnish word order. So I get a lot of questions asking me, Katja, can you explain to me what the Finnish word order actually is? How should I be starting to structure Finnish sentences? And I'm going to give you 3 answers to this. 3, that's right. The first answer I'll give you is just the cleanest, simplest version of this answer. And then the other 2 parts, I'm just going to go a little bit deeper just so you can get a bit more understanding and knowledge if you want to build upon the first point. So let's just begin. So the answer to the word order question in Finnish is that Finnish is regarded as an SVO language. Now, what does that mean? SVO stands for subject, verb, object. So, my notes are here, so I didn't memorize this entire script. So, subject stands for who's doing the action. V, the verb, is the action itself, so the word that is the action, and O, object, is the thing or person that the action is being done to. So it's receiving the action. Just very simply put, this is very, very basic level here. So, for example, English is also an SVO language. So we put the subject first, followed by the verb, followed by the object. So Finnish is, if you're going about your daily business in Finland, a large majority of the time, the sentence structures you'll hear around you will be in this SVO format. That's the most common. A lot of the times that sounds the most natural, so that is what you will hear most of the time. So to demonstrate this, let's take an example sentence. So in English, the sentence,
an example sentence in English would be, I eat an apple. The word order is subject-verb-object. The same sentence in Finnish would be,
minä syön omenan.
Word order, the same. So that is your question simply answered. But moving on to the second part here, you may ask me, but people say Finnish word order is flexible. So what does that mean? If I don't have to use SVO, but it's regarded as an SVO language, what does that then mean? Okay, so diving a little bit deeper into this, yes, most sentences will be in SVO sentence structure order, but it's also true that the Finnish language is flexible and you can structure your sentences very flexibly, shuffle the order, and the meaning will stay, essentially, the core meaning will stay the same. So let's take another example to demonstrate this practically. Sydney, my dog, Sydney eats Pluto. Weird sentence, but it makes sense because there's this little puppet toy that my dog loves to chew on. So that's where my inspiration for this sentence comes from. But Sydney is the subject here. She's the main noun here that's doing all these things in the sentence. Eats is the verb because it's the action taking place. And Pluto is the object because Sydney is the eating Pluto. So Pluto has the action being done to it. Okay? But in English, if you switch the word order, and you say Pluto eats Sydney, suddenly the meaning of the entire sentence changes. Okay, so suddenly Pluto, the toy, is eating Sydney. So Sydney's the object here and Pluto's the subject. And Sydney's getting eaten. She's not eating Pluto anymore just because the words switched place. So in English, the word order determines most of the time, I think, what the subject and the object are. And that's why in English, word order is so much more important than in Finnish, because based on the order you place the words in English, the sentence can change the entire meaning. On the other hand, in Finland, This is where the grammar cases actually come in handy. So, because Finnish has these grammar cases at the end of words, you can use those to kind of determine what the subject and what the object of the various components of the sentence are. So no matter how you shuffle the words, you can still determine, oh, okay, this is the object. Oh, okay, this is like who is doing the action, just based on the cases within the sentence. So as long as the cases stay the same, no matter how you shuffle it, it'll still make sense. Unlike in English, where the word order has much more significance. So yeah, the point is, because of the grammar cases in Finnish, you can swap the order of the words and the meaning will stay the same because the cases are what's indicating the object and the subject in the sentence. So, for example, let's have the Sydney example again. So in Finnish, that sentence would be Sydney syö Pluton. So here, Sydney is the subject, syö is the verb, she's eating Pluto. So the object is Pluton. And as you can see, there is an N at the end of Pluto, Pluton. She is eating Pluto. Okay, so the N at the end, you can, from that one letter, tell that Pluto is the one being eaten, not Sydney. Sydney is the one eating Pluto. Pluton, syö Pluton. Okay, we don't have to get into like the nitty-gritty of cases because this is not a cases video, but that is what the N is signifying here, or the meaning that it conveys when you hear that sentence. And that's why if you swap the order like we did in English, in the English sentence, and we put Pluto first, but keep the case the same, Pluton syö Sydney, because of that N, we still, in Finnish, are able to hear that and be like, oh, okay, Sydney's still eating Pluto. Pluto is not eating Sydney. Because if we were to change the meaning, we would have to change the case. So we'd have to say, Pluto syö Sydneyn. And only when you change the case does the meaning also change to Sydney is being eaten. Does that make sense? So if the case stays the same, if you swap the word order and the case is the same, the meaning will also stay the same. So you can say Pluton syö Sydney, and you're like, okay, Sydney is the one that's eating Pluto still, even if the word order is swapped. So the meaning stays the same, and we can go further with this and shuffle it more. We can say things like Pluton Sydney syö, still meaning is the same. We can say Sydney Pluton syö. Okay, it's again a bit different word order, but the meaning is the same still. So that is the reason why in Finnish you can shuffle the word order and the core meaning stays the same. So the summary for the second part of this answer is that if the cases stay the same, you can mix up the sentence and the core overall meaning stays the same. Some sentences sound more natural than others. For example, the subject-verb-object word order sounds the most natural in most cases, but they all do make sense, and the listener is able to determine what is happening in your sentence pretty much no matter what order you shuffle these in. Okay, and then the third and final part of my answer is if we want to dive a little bit deeper. Some of you might be asking, oh, but on some online forums, people are saying that the meaning does change if the word order changes in Finnish, and you just said it doesn't. Okay, so to answer that question, for beginner purposes, I'm going to say barely. The meaning barely changes. The essential meaning stays the same. The core message that is being conveyed stays the same no matter what word order you're putting the words into. The main meaning is going to come across. But if you want to learn about this a little bit deeper, hold your horses and I will explain what I mean by this. So if we take a sentence and just swap the word order a tiny bit, So for example, kynä on pöydän päällä and pöydän päällä on kynä. At its core, these two sentences convey the same meaning. There is some kind of pencil on top of a table. Both sentences convey this. The meaning is essentially the same. Doesn't matter which one you use. People will get the point. Okay, there's a pen on the table. Great. But if you're wanting to understand what the slight nuanced differences between these two sentences, I'll explain to you right now. So in Finnish, what word you put first basically determines what the most important topic is. So it's the thing you want to emphasize. So you'll put the most important stuff at the front, and then the less important stuff comes after that. So for example, kynä on pöydän päällä. Kynä would be the most important topic of the sentence, so you're emphasizing the pen. And pöydän päällä on kynä. The table, on top of the table, is kind of the most important topic here, the thing you want to emphasize. You're not emphasizing the pen, you're emphasizing on top of the table. So that, I think my camera was wiggling. So that is like the tiny difference in like meaning, I suppose you could say. But the core message, as you can see, it's still the same. So then you might ask me, well, what does this have to do with everyday speech? Like, how does this translate to everyday context conversations and stuff like that? So my answer to that would be, if you're having a conversation with someone and they're asking you a question or you're having like a back and forth, this is probably the most likely situation you would encounter this in. So for example, if someone's asking you a specific question about something, for example, they would ask you, missä on mun kynä? In this sentence, they're asking about their pen. They're asking, hey, missä mun kynä on? Missä on mun kynä? They're asking about the pen. The pen is the topic of interest. That's what they're interested in. The main important thing to emphasize is they're wanting to know about the pen. So therefore, your answer would probably place the pen at the start of your sentence. So you could say, sun kynä on pöydän päällä. So you're putting the pen in front of pöydän päällä because they're asking about the pen. That's the important topic here. So you're gonna emphasize that in your sentence by placing the pen at the start of the sentence, saying sun kynä on pöydän päällä. In this situation too, you could say pöydän päällä on sun kynä. The core message stays the same. They will be like, oh, okay, my pen is on the table, great. The message stays the same here, but because the importance is placed on the pen, that's the main topic, it sounds most natural to put it at the front, despite both sentences meaning essentially the same thing. On the other hand, if someone asks you, mitä on pöydällä? They're not asking about a pen here, they're asking about what's on the table. So the topic of interest here is on top of the table. That's what's important and what's being kind of emphasized in this exchange. So in this situation, you would say pöydän päällä on kynä, or something like that. You would put pöydän päällä on top of the table first, because that's what they're asking about. So that's the main topic of interest here. On top of the table, pöydän päällä on kynä. So that is, I think, why people talk about a slight change of meaning depending on the word order in Finnish, despite having this so-called flexible word order. That's my take on it. Main summary, if you're speaking Finnish, most of the time you will have SVO word order. So just stick that into your head, SVO, that's the most important to remember. If you're just starting to make sentences, stick to that structure because that's the one that's most common. And I would start there. Remember, these are just the very basics of word order. If you want to dive deeper than this, I'm sure there's a lot of other blogs and forums and videos you can watch online, but I hope to just kind of narrow things down to just like the basics of what I think would be good to know if you just want like a quick overview of word order in Finnish. So hopefully this was helpful. If something still is kind of fuzzy and unclear, do leave it in the comments below and I'll try my best to answer you. Thank you again for the super thanks, and I guess that just about concludes this video. Eli moikka!